I remember so well a woman coming to my office in California in great tears and self-righteous horror because her husband was an alcoholic. And that would have been all right if it was only his business, but he had gotten to the place where he wouldn't work and she had to work, and not only she had to work, but she had to give him her money to buy the alcohol with. And that to her was just going a little bit too far. But there it was, and there he was at home, and the only day that he got out of bed was on her payday. And that's when he went down to the store to buy some whiskey. And she was fed up with it, and now I guess she got spiritual too, and want to know what I could do about it spiritually. And as I sat there talking to her, I said, you know something? It comes to me that your husband isn't an alcoholic at all, it's you. And you've almost got me being one. I don't know what you mean. Well, I said, you seem to be more afraid of alcohol than your husband. She looked at it and she said, well, I am. I'm seeing what it's doing. I said, he doesn't think it's terrible. He likes it. There's a difference of opinion there. Yes. I said, you really do believe alcohol's bad, don't you? I certainly do. And yet the basis of our work is that there's neither good nor evil. Now what are we going to do with that? Let me put it this way. Supposing your husband wanted that money to buy Coca-Cola, would you object? No, I'd gladly go to work and he could have all the Coca-Cola he wanted. Well, then Coca-Cola is good, but alcohol is evil. So there we are back with Adam and Eve. Now I said, your husband thinks it's good and you think it's evil. Now you're deadlocked. I guess that's where you're going to stay for a while, unless you can commence to see what I see. That actually Coca-Cola isn't good, and whiskey isn't bad. That there's no power in either one if all power is in God. Now I said, that's the vision the way I see it. God is the infinite all power, and beside God there is no power for good or for evil. What does that mean? What am I supposed to do? Well, you go right home and you tell your husband you've made a terrible mistake. But you don't think that whiskey is so terrible after all. He can have all he wants of it. Oh, no, that was going too far. But then she went outside, sat in my outer office a little while, came back later. She said, well, I'm not getting anywhere this way. I can't do worse that way. So I'm going to do it. But she said, it's very difficult. Try it, see. So she went home. She waited for the proper time, and when her husband wanted whiskey, she said, oh, yes, sure, here it is. Kind of looked at it. But he made no comment. A few days later, he came to her and he said, you know, there's no use drinking this stuff. They're just making wartime whiskey again. It has no power. That's how he was ultimately free. He just couldn't drink it anymore. It just didn't give him the kick. And gradually he saw what he'd been doing. Now, that's kind of an extreme case, but it really happened. But it bears out the principle that I'm trying to bring to you, which has evolved in the infinite way. The principle is that there is neither good nor evil in any creature or form. That all good is in the invisible, all power rather, is in the invisible, acting through the visible. Therefore I can say that my hand is not a good hand, it's not a generous hand. That only the Spirit of God could use the hand through which to do good. And that is why there are some healers who heal actually by laying on of hands. And they accomplish healings. And the belief is that the Spirit of God flows through their hands to the patient. And as long as that is part of their belief, it works. And so it is, the hand can be an instrument, but the hand can't be good. And the hand can't be dishonest. That's why they never send anybody's hands to jail for stealing. No, it wouldn't do any good. It wasn't the hands. They were just the instrument. And so it is, you begin to perceive the nature of God. The nature of God is an invisibility that is always appearing as visible form. And as long as you attach no good or evil to the visible form, the invisible spirit will function harmoniously as visible form. That's as clearly as I can state it. You have to get used to the idea that God is not a power that can change its course of action. God is not a power that can do something to something or for something or to somebody for somebody. God is a state of is. Another way of saying it is that God is being. And what God is being, God cannot stop being. God cannot alter its being. God is being, but God is being infinitely, immortally, eternally, harmoniously, joyously, prosperously. God is infinitely being, and God is an invisible spirit appearing as a visible universe. And if you withdraw from your mind the belief of good and evil, you will find that the invisible spirit will function visibly, spiritually, and harmoniously. As long as you attach qualities of good or evil to visible form, you create that condition. That is called the second chapter of Genesis.